My name is Carol Rendon, and I am the first Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Ohio. I want to begin by acknowledging all of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners who are here with me today and who made this investigation a possibility. Akron Mayor Don Pasqualic. From the United States Marshals Service, we have Dave Castellanos. From the Ohio HIDTA, our high-intensity drug trafficking organization, Derek Siegel. Next to him, Gino Corley, who is the resident agent in charge of the DEA. We have from the Summit County Sheriff's Office, Inspector Bill Holland. From the FBI, directly behind me, FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Pete Bickmore. And I also want to thank and acknowledge Akron Police Chief James Nice and the Summit County District Attorney's Office, Sherry Bevan Walsh's office, who are not here for the press conference today, but who have been very helpful in the investigation and in the events of this morning. We are here today to announce the unsealing of an indictment charging 12 individuals in federal district court with various crimes, including principally cocaine and marijuana trafficking. This 8-count indictment lays out, in essence, 3 major conspiracies: a conspiracy to bring cocaine to our streets here in Akron and Canton from California, and also to bring marijuana here, again from California. Others named in the conspiracy and in the indictment are also charged with financial crimes, including money laundering and structuring, essentially trying to hide the profits of their drug dealing operation. 7 of these defendants are from right here in the Akron and Canton area. Excuse me, I take that back. 7 are from the Akron area, 2 are from the Canton area, and 3 are from out of state. And as you'll hear in just a few moments from Assistant Special Agent in Charge Pete Bickmore, today we have 11 of the 12 defendants already in custody. Count 1 of the indictment charges a major cocaine conspiracy to possess and distribute and transport cocaine from California to Akron and Canton. Beginning in about the middle of 2011, we became aware of this organization and of 2 brothers, Dale and Daryl Colbert, who are twins, who are from the California area, who were arranging to ship large quantities of cocaine into our community, hidden, as you will see in one of these pictures, inside engine blocks. So what they were doing is they were taking these engine blocks, they were dismantling them, and they were filling them with cocaine. They were then transporting these engine blocks as if they were actually just that from machine shops in California to a local business here in Akron and another business in the Canton area. They would then disassemble the engine blocks, remove the cocaine, and the Colbert twins would then distribute the cocaine to their local distributing network here, including Dante Branch, Darren Wright, Lewis Harmon, and Wesley Black, Jr., all of whom have been charged in today's indictment. When the cocaine was sold, they would collect the drug proceeds, and again, using these engine blocks, hide the money inside the blocks and ship them back out to businesses in the California area. We know that they made at least 9 shipments in this fashion, and using our most conservative estimates, we believe that they sent at least 100 kilos of cocaine from California to our neighborhoods through the use of these engine blocks. Overlapping groups of these defendants were also involved in the marijuana distribution trade. And they brought the marijuana here in 2 distinctly different ways. In one of the conspiracies, they're charged with bringing marijuana into our communities by use of the United States Postal Service. So packages would come here, they'd be delivered to people's homes, they would be opened, taken apart, and then the marijuana distributed on the streets of our cities. And the other, the marijuana was transported here in the cargo bed of semi-tractor trailers. So as we've seen, both with this organization and of course over the years, these drug organizations are pretty ingenious. They come up with all sorts of different ways to bring their drugs here to our communities and to send their profits back to their sources of supply. But if you look at this group that's assembled behind me, you will know that law enforcement is equally dogged, equally tireless, equally ingenious, and that our efforts to stop these organizations is not going to stop here. It's not going to stop today. You're also going to learn today that these folks, as you well know, are fearless. In a few moments, you're going to hear from Pete Bickmore, and he's going to tell you about some of the events that took place this morning, shooting that occurred during the execution of the arrest warrants in this case. So I just want to take a moment and thank all of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners for their incredible hard work, their dedication, and their commitment to our community. Their tenacity and their creativity allowed them to infiltrate this organization and to bring these individuals today to justice. As a result of their community, today our communities are safer than they were yesterday. And I can assure you no one up here is resting on their laurels. So we're going to continue to work hard, to work together, to identify, investigate, and prosecute these organizations. So to those who would break the law and continue to peddle this poison on the streets of our cities, I want you to know that we are watching, we are listening, and we'll find you and bring you to justice. And with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Pete Bickmore.
Thank you, Carol. Good afternoon. My name is Pete Bickmore. I'm Assistant Special Agent in charge of the FBI in Cleveland, Ohio. As stated by Carol Rendon, the unsealing of these indictments involves 12 individuals for drug conspiracy that has occurred today. 11 of these individuals were taken into custody earlier today. Since mid-2011 through April 2012, the Greater Akron Safe Street Task Force, Stark County Violent Crimes Task Force, and HIDTA have been investigating a group of individuals who were involved in gang activity and drug trafficking. The individuals and their associates located in Akron have been responsible for 10 shipments of between 10 and 17 kilograms of cocaine from Los Angeles, California to Akron, Ohio area. Investigators learned that the individuals have also provided shipments of cocaine to St. Louis, Missouri, and Tennessee. The individuals utilized legitimate trucking companies to transport hollowed-out engine blocks from Los Angeles to Akron, Ohio. Once the engine blocks would arrive in Akron, as Carol stated, some members or the individuals would take possession of the engines, disassemble the engines, remove the cocaine, and then load the engines with drug proceeds. Early this morning, law enforcement from DEA, ATF, the United States Marshal Service, the FBI, the City of Akron Police Department, the Summit County Sheriff's Drug Unit executed 11 warrants, 8 in Akron and Canton, Ohio, 2 in California, and 1 in Pennsylvania. Several gang members are in custody, 11 total so far. 1 individual continues to be sought in California. During the execution of arrest warrants for Darren Wright, the search warrant of his location at 672 Allen Avenue, Akron, Ohio, upon entry by the Summit County SWAT team, approximately 5 shots were fired at Summit County Sheriff's Office SWAT deputies by John K. Wright, subsequently identified as the father of Darren Wright. John K. Wright was taken into custody by Summit County Sheriff's Office deputies and Akron Police. 2 of the Summit County Sheriff's Officer SWAT members were shot in the head area by 2 of the 5 bullets. Fortunately, the SWAT members were prepared with their ballistic gear, including helmets, and no injuries were sustained, but they were struck in the head. Additionally, this morning, 12 federal search warrants and 2 state warrants were executed in Akron and Canton. 3 federal search warrants were executed in California, 1 federal search warrant in Missouri, and 1 in Tennessee. During the execution of these warrants this morning, Approximately 10 vehicles were seized, $100,000 in U.S. currency, 10 firearms including pistols and shotguns, 10 pounds of marijuana, and various records showing the drug cocaine conspiracy involved with this organization. This successful operation, led by the DEA, Akron Police Department, Summit County Drug Unit, United States Marshal Service, ATF, FBI, could not have occurred without the joint cooperation between all the agencies represented. Federal and local law enforcement and prosecutors from the United States Attorney's Office and Summit County District Attorney's Office working together. Akron is a safer place because of the task force, and we are proud to be contributing to the crime problem and eliminating the crime problem in this area. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Bill Holland from the Summit County Sheriff's Department.
Good afternoon. Just to echo what my colleagues have said, Sheriff Alexander just this morning was saying how fortunate we are to have such a good working relationship with our federal, state, and local partners in this area. And that partnership is what makes operations like this possible, to get these dangerous drugs off the street. And just to kind of illustrate how dangerous this problem is, I'm going to give you some details about the shooting this morning. This morning, shortly after 6 o'clock, the Sheriff's Office SWAT team made entry into a house at 672 Allen Street to execute a federal search warrant and arrest warrant for Darren Wright in relation to this investigation you see before you. Upon entry into the first floor of the residence, they encountered Darren Wright, and he was arrested without incident. The SWAT team proceeded up the stairs to clear the residence, and as they did so, John Wright, Darren's father, reached around the corner with a .357 handgun and fired shots at the deputies, striking one of the deputies in the forehead of his helmet, and the bullet careened off the top of his helmet. He's very fortunate to have this protective gear on, obviously. At that point, deputies gave him further commands. He was ordered to the ground, and he was taken into custody at that point. The deputies did return fire. No one was injured in this incident, thankfully. John Wright has been charged with felonious assault on a police officer and has been booked into the Summit County Jail. The Summit County Sheriff's Office Crime Scene Unit responded to process the crime scene. This incident is just kind of an illustration of how dangerous this job can be for the agents, officers, and deputies that fight these drug organizations on a daily basis. Thankfully, no one was injured in this incident. This isn't going to slow our partnership down. We're going to continue to combat these drug organizations. And I'm going to turn it over to Akron Chief Jim Nice.
I don't want to add a lot about the details. You've got all the details of this right now. What I want to talk about is we get to stand up here as the supervisors and take a little bit of credit or show that kind of credit. We try to keep our relationships good with each other as leaders of the organizations, but it's actually the troops, it's actually the narcotics officers with all these agencies that every day keep this relationship. As many of you know, I've worked throughout the country in different cities, and I've said it before, but there is no better working relationship with partners than in Akron, Ohio, and that is actually a fact. But it's not done by us necessarily. It's done by the officers that wake up every day and work side by side with a DEA agent, side by side with an FBI agent, a sheriff's deputy, and it's those folks that keep our relationships good, and these are the results of officers every day keeping those relationships strong. So very successful today, but the troops need to know it's their result.
And now Akron Mayor Don Pasquale.
Thank you. I'm really here just to say thank you to all of these individuals represented here and the people they represent, to say thank you on behalf of the citizens of Akron. A few years ago, when we put together some hotspot programming and in the police department and went out in a neighborhood, I have been told by several people who witnessed people coming out of their houses and applauding. And to me, that would be a perfect picture for what the citizens of Akron should all do today. Now, none of them were up probably at 4:30, or very few of them, or 6 o'clock when these individuals were executing these warrants. But if they could have been up and been aware, I'm sure they would have come out of their houses in vast majority in every neighborhood, every person, every economic strata, to be able to say thank you to the individuals that put their lives on the line. The chief said it earlier, and I've bragged about it all over. I don't know of anywhere where the cooperation is so great, and I really believe that we get more accomplished in that way. So I want to thank all of the federal, state, and certainly county officials for participating in this. And lastly, just thank the chief and all of the members of the Akron Police Department. I realize, having sworn in 9 new officers last night, that any one of them could, in any given day, face the same challenge that the sheriff's officials did today and not come home, and the difficulties and stress that that brings about. So to have a successful operation like this takes a great deal of coordination and cooperation, but takes individuals executing on that. And at least from my part, I want to say thank you for the Akron Police Department officials who participated in this, and I look forward to working with you together, because I do believe, as most of you know, that fighting drugs is not a war, because wars get fought and somebody wins and you walk home. Fighting drugs is like cutting your grass. You do it this week, some other character will be out there in the next couple of weeks trying to fill in. So the idea, as she indicated, that they're not going away and they're going to continue, hopefully is a deterrent to people out there who think, hey, maybe I ought to get in this, maybe I get some fast money. Because there's one thing in our society to go after people and arrest them and convict them. We also want to send a strong message that this is not what people should be involved in, and the result is going to be many years, hopefully, in jail, and a message sent to other people who may think about getting into this business. So thank you for, as you said, making Akron safer today.
Thank you. We'll now take questions, if anybody has any questions.
John Wright was firing a .357.
Yes.
How many? 5 shots?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just a semi-automatic handgun. He fired around the corner, at least 2 shots. Our crime scene is on the scene still recovering rounds. So at this point, we know of at least 2 shots he fired.
And 1 struck the forehead of a SWAT officer.
Correct, the first SWAT member that made entry up the stairs.
No other officers.
What about the second?
Well, we're still looking into that. That's part of the crime scenes investigation right now. They're looking to see if anybody else. There were no injuries. If anything, it would have grazed a piece of equipment.
Could you show on the helmet again where?
It struck the deputy in the forehead area and then followed the path up the top of the helmet.
How lucky is he the .357 round didn't penetrate his helmet?
Well, he's very lucky. As you can see, you know, he fired around the corner without aiming a couple inches lower, and you know, it would have been a lot worse scenario.
How many shots were fired in retaliation to?
That's another. The recovering rounds there. It was at least 2 or 3 rounds fired by deputies on the SWAT team.
How many deputies fired back?
I don't have that answer right now.
How many deputies were in the house total?
I don't have that either.
Did Darren give any indication that his father was in the home that might be hostile to the officers that were responding?
You know, that's more information that we're still going through right now. When the SWAT team made entry, they announced their presence. They were marked in the markings, and like I said, as they went up the stairs to clear the rest of the house is when they were fired upon.
What can you tell us about the deputy who was shot in the helmet? Can you release his name, number of years on the SWAT team, or any details?
I'm not going to release any of that information right now. He's been on the SWAT team for several years now. He's, like I said, he didn't receive any injuries at this point. Obviously, it was, he's shaken up, obviously, but everyone was taken into custody safely.
You don't get much more of a closer call than that. I mean, an inch or 2 lower, and this could have been.
Yeah, it's, many of these situations that you read about, it's a matter of centimeters, millimeters. It could have been a lot worse off.
What's Darren Wright's involvement in the drug disappearance? That might be a Carol question, but
Sure.
what's his role in all of this?
So Darren Wright is charged, and let me just make sure that I give you the right counts. In count 1, which is the cocaine conspiracy, and also in count 3, which is the marijuana conspiracy in which they were bringing marijuana from California to the Akron-Canton area by the U.S. Postal Service.
So he's a local distributor?
Correct. He's a local distributor and involved in both of those conspiracies.
Any evidence that John Wright was involved in this at all?
John Wright is not charged in the indictment that was unsealed today, but as everyone has indicated, the investigation from the incident this morning is ongoing, and that will continue to be ongoing until we get to the bottom of that.
Where were the engine blocks shipped to?
They were shipped to local businesses here in the Akron and Canton area. I believe there were 2 different businesses to which they were shipped here in the area.
We have the name mentioned?
I do not believe that they are named in the indictment. Am I?
I believe they are.
Oh, they are? Okay. All right. So,
They're
Good.
in the indictment. Massey and Sons, I think, is one.
okay. So in count 1 of the indictment, and I don't have the exact paragraph, but if you want to wait after the press conference, I'll find it for you. The locations to which those were shipped are named in the indictment. I didn't think that they had been named.
And were those businesses owned by the defendants?
There's no evidence in the indictment indicating that they were owned by the defendants,
What
no.
was their connection? Just workers there, or?
It was a location to which the engine blocks were shipped, to which these individuals had access, and they could then go in, disassemble the engine blocks without being detected, they thought, and distribute the cocaine.
Is anyone associated with businesses charged in connection with this, or did they have any knowledge that this was going on, or were they no?
Pete, I don't know if, to my knowledge, there's nobody associated with those businesses that's charged in the indictment today.
In that flow chart in the back,
Mhm.
is the guy in the middle like the head guy?
So Dante Branch is charged in all 3 of the major conspiracies. He's the only individual in the indictment who's charged in all 3 of the major conspiracies, the cocaine conspiracy and both of the marijuana conspiracies. All right. Thank you all so much for being here.